Yeah, extra. Hear all about it on Strikeout Bros. What's going on, Lash?
What's up, man? Another episode. Got a lot
Oh,
to get through,
damn.
man.
Oh man, this is where things change. Because we do every episode and every two series, right? So a lot
Yeah,
happens. A lot happens.
it's
You
a
could go
weekend,
from
honey.
being a superstar, team to being trash in a matter of two series. Depending on who you play too. It don't matter. It shows who you are throughout the season. It develops drama, and it's all part of the soap opera, I guess. It makes it interesting that way. And that's why it's such a long season, the ebbs and flows, right? That's what they say. Look at you, look at you. I know. I have a lot to say about your team too, I've been
No, I was looking at the Mets game.
oh yeah, been watching the Met game, and it's not looking so good. It's funny how McGill comes out of the gates, and he's like, what, 9 Ks, first 14 batters, strikes out the side in the fourth. In the fifth, he gets into trouble, and they end up
Now he's
tying the
struggling.
game. Yeah, men on first and second with one out, and he hits the batter, loads up the bases, and then Durant comes up the bat. He almost knocks it out the park on the right side. Soto scrambling back there, catches the ball, throws it in. They tied the game. And then on top of that, Devers is up to bat now with men on second and third, and it's a 3-1 count.
No, it's
And,
now
and he walks
Bregman.
some bases loaded now. Holy cow.
Oh no, is
Bases are
Mendoza gonna
loaded
change
now.
him? Is Mendoza gonna change him? He's
I mean,
coming out
he's
for the count.
85 in. Yeah,
Oh
get him out of there.
wow,
Yeah, he's gonna have to.
that's
Bases loaded.
terrible. See,
Oh
that's the
man.
problem because you start messing with your bullpen too much, you're gonna wear him out. But
No, but it's not even about that. What are you supposed to do at this situation? You have to. You have
yeah,
no choice.
you
He
have to
he
get two. You have to
imploded.
get one out.
Yeah, he imploded. He couldn't get the one out. So somebody fresh is gonna have to come in and throw fire and try to get him out of there. But listen, the game is tied right now. So if we get out of this inning like this, we still have a shot. Even though we lost the series, that's the problem right now. We're not hitting the ball. So you have to understand that we lost the series to the Yankees. And that was pivotal. We lost the series to the Red Sox yesterday, and now we're about to get swept by them. It's kind of crazy.
Not yet. Can't say yet. Still
You
early.
know, and you know what? It's happening all over the league. Things are changing. The Dodgers have been having problems too. We
Yeah.
haven't even spoken about. We just
The
started
Angels have
talking.
gotten hot.
The Angels were able to sweep the Dodgers, right? And then Arizona was able to, fight. And yesterday the Dodgers won. They had lost four in a row. The Dodgers had lost four in a row. And that's why they have a similar record to the Mets. And they're both struggling right now at the moment. And if tonight at 10:10 on the East Coast when they play the Dodgers, if they lose, well, they'll be, two
They
out as
won
well.
yesterday
They won yesterday. This is a rubber match tonight.
in
So
Arizona.
in Arizona. So it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited. After this, I'm gonna definitely sit down and watch that one.
Ooh. Texas just tied the game with the Yankees 1-1.
The Yankees. Wow. They that was a story to tell. We'll talk about that later too. But today's episode, right?
Twin Cities.
Is welcome to the Twin Cities. And if you're wondering, the Minnesota Twins, for those of you that don't know, it's a baseball team in the Central in the American League. So apparently they won 13 games in a row. Insane. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even keeping tabs on that. And that's a lot of work. They put in some good work. But the funny
Yeah.
thing about that work that they put in, it's funny how, this is how you know if your team is trash, right? Because during that streak, the Baltimore Orioles lost
Played them
seven of
seven
those
times.
games, 7 times, and lost all 7 games to the Twins, which is incredible, right? The Twins gained only 3 games on the division leading Detroit Tigers. The
That's
Tigers have been
crazy.
on fire. I know that's crazy, right? Out of all those wins, the Tigers they were winning at the same time. They wouldn't stop winning, and they only, the winning streak it came to an end, and this past Saturday it came to an end, and it's funny because what I don't understand is how could you win so many games and still not be
Not
able to
getting ground.
not get ground.
Yeah, I don't know.
But they have some serious
That just
pitching
tells you
going on over
Detroit's
there.
good.
Yeah, Detroit's good, but now the division got a little interesting, because now they have competition. That's how I
Yeah.
see it. Yo, their pitching staff is so crazy. They were able to like
Their
go
pitching
through a
is what's been
stretch.
the
Yeah,
bullpen has been really good
yeah, 33 straight
for the
shutout innings, bro.
Twins.
33. You know what I'm saying? That's how crazy that is. 33 straight shutout innings. Longest streak in history, right? Since 1961, bro. That's crazy.
Yeah,
All
that
right.
is.
That's a really good pitching staff. And, like I said, the Orioles lost 7 of those games because they played them twice. It was a 4-game series and a 3-game series. You would know more
Four in
about that. The four
Minnesota
game
and three
series,
in New York or Baltimore.
or 3 in Baltimore, or 4 in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Wow. So they just
Or
they
it might have been
just
four in Baltimore and I think it was four in Baltimore and three in Minnesota.
got you. But
Last.
either way, they just mowed
Either
you
way, it
down.
doesn't look good.
Yeah. So they,
Yeah.
and then
Well,
you
they're
guys
just
lost. You guys lost 8 in a row, right? You would
eight-game
just,
losing streak.
yeah. And the prediction is that you're gonna lose
One hundred.
117 games this season.
Yeah.
All right. And this is the longest streak that you losing streak since the 19 in a row in August of 2019. So this is, but
19. I remember that. Oh my
you
god, that was when they had nobody.
yeah, but
And that was
that
the
streak is
Bucks
over
almost
because you
last year.
guys just
Yeah.
won. No, you guys won today. You guys won
Yeah,
today.
they won. So start now they can start a new winning streak. Hopefully, we'll see.
Exactly. Hopefully, you never know. Listen, I saw a press conference with your GM, and it was pretty horrific. You could
Elias.
tell his body language, the way he was talking, the look on his face. He looked stressed. Okay, and he
Well,
said that he's
he's
trying
the
to
only
fix
one
the
to blame.
problem as soon as possible. He says that he's working on the problem. He says that they know they have a problem, and it's not like they're just sitting in the dark. They're trying to figure it out. They're trying to figure out what they're gonna do with the pitching staff, and then the injuries didn't help, and hopefully,
The injuries
they
are
can
only
figure
on
that
their
out.
pitching. The injuries are not on offense.
I
It's
know, I
all
know, I
on
know,
pitching.
I know, but that's the problem too. You have to understand. I don't know. The same thing's happening with the Mets. We're not hitting the ball. We're not hitting the ball at all. We're gonna talk about that in a few as well. We're gonna, have numbers for you guys. It's pretty crazy how we went from, a pretty good looking team to like,
Wow,
struggling
nice
against
job.
great teams.
Bond just struck out the guy with bases loaded.
That's what I'm talking about. You see, we're still in it, folks. We don't want to lose this game because we don't want to go into the Dodgers series, losing
Wow,
losing
that
two
was a good
series
pitch.
and getting swept by the Boston Red Sox. That's not a good look for a team like this. You know what I'm saying? And there was the owner already reached out to the fans and was like, don't worry about it. This is what happens. It's a long season. You're gonna have streaks where
Ups and
we don't look
downs.
so good, ups and downs of the season. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I see. As an analyst, I guess, if you want to call me that, call yourself that, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what we're doing, right? We're analyzing this shit, we're breaking shit down, and we're giving you our opinions on this shit, right? And I feel like, yeah, you pay for this team, you put the team together, you have people that are great at doing things like this, and this is what they get paid to do. And, at the end of the day, when they go home and they take a nap and they wake up and they're like, wow, I think I put together something real special. I think this is going to work out, right? And then you hit a wall, or you play a team that's doing just as well as you are, but for some reason you can't beat them. So it makes you wonder, are we ready to compete in a situation where we can win a championship, or are we still lacking in some departments? And that's how you have to look at some things. Me and my dad talk about this shit all the time, right? And my dad's like, yeah, you see the lineup tonight, right? We got Torrens, playing tonight. That's who has to play tonight because he's the one with the hot hand. He's the one that's hitting the ball. And I'm like, yeah, I understand that. But you know what? Alvarez is a better defensive catcher when it comes to catching the rotation, not necessarily pegging motherfuckers out when they're, running and trying to steal. Torrens is a little better at that. But defensively, as catching the rotation, I think Alvarez is the answer. So we have a difference of opinion when it comes to that, and we talk about our team, the Mets. But I don't know. I don't know. I feel like maybe we have to juggle up the lineup. You know what I'm saying? Look, today's the first day, right, in the season since Soto's been with us that he's juggled Soto around in the lineup. Soto's batting third today versus his usual second, where he produces multiple walks but doesn't really hit the ball. So let's see what happens. I mean, listen, you have to try a little bit of everything. I know I'm ranting here right now, because this is the first time in the season where the Mets look kind of suspect, you know what I'm saying? But
Oh wow.
what's going on
De'Grom is
over there?
pitching in New York. 1-1 New York Yankees in Texas.
Oh, I love that. I love that. See,
But
he's doing
Degrom,
okay. He's doing
he's doing
okay.
all right.
He's doing
But
okay. See, speaking of the devil, he's batting now in the top of the sixth. He's 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. He's batting 244, 8 home runs, 20 RBIs. And he struck out looking twice, okay? Just to, put it out there. He's having a real hard time with Crochet. Crochet's, an amazing catch, for the Red
he's
Sox.
a great pitcher. That's
Of
a
course he
guy
is.
Oro should have traded for. But it's what it is. But yeah, going back to the Twins, man, their biggest strength for the Twins has been their bullpen, man. If you can't get to the starter, you're gonna lose the game because there's no chance you're gonna get past. You're not gonna get past their bullpen. Their bullpen is really good, man, especially the back half.
Yeah.
And they don't give up a lot of runs. They don't score a lot of runs either, but scored a lot against Baltimore. But Baltimore's bullpen is trash.
So,
But either way, even when they're not playing Baltimore, they their pitching is the reason why they are where they are. So hats off to
yeah.
them. But it must be frustrating if you're a Twins fan because you're like, man, 13 in a row. You would think you're at least gonna gain at least
Yeah, at
five
least,
games
or jump
on
over
Detroit.
somebody. You should also
Yeah,
jump
or
over somebody at that
or
point.
leap over. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And no, we got nothing.
Yeah. Speaking of leapovers, the Phillies took over the division. And
I know.
no, it's a good thing. It's showing that the Phillies can be dangerous. I know that. Listen to me, Kyle Schwarber. All right, this is funny because I feel like we have a seriously deep team when it comes to hitting home runs, and I think that we have a really good team for that. I think we have a lot of good hitters in our lineup, but apparently we don't have a hitter like Kyle Schwarber. You know what I'm saying? Because Kyle Schwarber and Otani, they both have 17 home runs this year. I believe Judge has 16. So those
Yeah.
three guys, wow, that's amazing, right? It's crazy. I think, listen, now a guy like Schwarber, he just hit his 300th home run, okay? This Monday night and shit. And he hit a 466-foot shot, right? In Coors Field. All right, it's Coors Field, but granted, but
And
whatever. That
it's the
doesn't mean
Rockies. They
anything.
suck.
Exactly. They suck, you know what I'm saying? But that's not the point. The point is that he has 17 home runs, right? And he's a free agent this year. So do the Phillies go aggressive on him and try to just, knock it down? I mean, he's getting a little older
Resign
now.
him.
Resign him because look at what he's producing. You know what I'm saying? This guy is he's not producing like let's
What he
Otani
was
is.
in Chicago.
But he's hitting home runs and he's producing runs. All right, he has 37 RBIs this year. He's batting 257, 17 home runs. All right, it's pretty amazing. 4 doubles, right? 1 triple, and 34 walks. So he has a good eye. 45 strikeouts. I mean, but a guy like this, you would expect that to happen. Because this guy, he's swinging for the fences most of the time. But this is a guy that,
Yeah.
is going to produce for your ball club. He's going to come in. He's a serious player. I love his energy. He's a Mets killer. So listen, free agency wise, if he ends up on the market, we don't have a DH, right? So why not? Why not go for it? But the funny thing is that Pete Alonso might just opt out of his contract depending on
Then
how
Schwarber
his
can be a first
season.
baseman.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So if we end up swapping, I think that would be depending on how Alonso does this year. Or we can have both, you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, we don't have a DH.
You
Imagine
have a
Alonso,
DH.
Schwarber, Soto, Lindor. Oh, come on, man. It
Very
gets
Alvarez.
Nemo, Alvarez. I mean, come
It's
on
a
now.
very
You know what I'm
dangerous
saying?
lineup.
That's a very, very dangerous lineup. So we have something to look forward to. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what kind of season Schwarber has, what kind of season Alonso has, and let's see if we can end up seeing both of them on the same lineup in Queens. You know what I'm saying? That'll be amazing to me. I'm just saying. And imagine if that Cedric Mullins, you know what I'm saying, and Tyler McGill trade ever goes down. That would be really crazy. That would make us even more dangerous. All right. And this is the type of team that you have to put together to try to get over the top. You know what I'm saying? Because now we're seeing that we're having trouble. I think that when we played the Yankees in this past series, we were nervous for some odd reason. We didn't play to the best of our ability, and they just broke us down. You know what I'm saying? The Peter Alonso implosion, for some reason, he has the yips now. He's having trouble
Oh,
throwing.
for fielding, I know.
Yeah, fielding. I don't know what's going on. It's mind blowing to
Soto
me.
with the bounce pass.
Yeah, a lot of things. A lot
But
of
that's
things.
expected with Soto, not with
Yeah,
Alonso.
defensively, yeah, not with Alonso. You know what I'm saying?
Alonso was but it's crazy because I saw that play. I was like, it was just one of those things where like he rushed the throw. He felt like he probably didn't have enough time, and he really did have enough time. If he just planted, took his time, he would have got the guy. But he rushed it. It's the pressure in the moment. It was bases loaded, so he's trying his best. So it's not like he's just just throwing it out of nowhere. So, but it looked bad because it's against the Yankees. It's your
Yeah,
crosstown rival.
yeah,
The Mets are doing well, and the Yankees are okay. And so you got to you want to beat them. It's for if you live in New York, Mets and Yankees series is always big. Whoever wins, it's you really have like a whole year to talk shit to the other person.
yeah, yeah. It's a little
It gives
series
you a
within
little
the
street
series.
credit, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
my
Out
team's better
here.
than yours. We beat the Mets or blah blah
Exactly.
blah.
Yeah, last year the
You
Yankees
know,
couldn't talk, but they ended up going
yeah,
to the
because he
World
swept them
Series.
4-0.
Yeah, but we still ended up, losing in the NLCS, and they went to the World Series. You know what I'm saying? We played the team better than they did. We played the Dodgers better than they did last year, but that doesn't
Oh, in the
matter because
playoffs,
they.
yeah.
Yeah, of course we did. Of course we did, but it
But
doesn't
they
matter.
had, yeah, they,
It doesn't matter.
yeah. It's interesting.
It's
But
interesting.
yeah, the going back to that Twins game. One of the games I watched, it was a little scary. It was against the Orioles. It was a doubleheader. The Byron Buxton and Harrison Bader, I think it was. Or no, it was Carlos Correa. They were both grabbing a foul ball or a pop up, and they both collided with each other. And thank God no one got hurt. But it was scary because they could have potentially lost two of their best players. And they were coming in hard. It was really bright outside. They couldn't see each other very well. They probably, I don't know, maybe they didn't hear each other, but they're both trying to make the play. They didn't make the play, and it didn't really do much for Baltimore because they couldn't score. But anyway, for the Twins, I thought it would hurt them because offensively, you need those two guys. Um, you know, they produce for them, but they didn't miss a beat and they keep winning. And it's just hard. You could win all you want, but if the teams ahead of you keep winning, there's nothing you could do about it. You need Detroit to lose, and Detroit is really good. They just took two
Yeah,
athletes from
yeah.
St. Louis.
Well, they're the
St.
best in
Louis is
the
not a bad
MLB.
team.
Yeah, they're the best in the
They had what,
MLB.
30 and 13, something like that.
Yeah, nah, it's way better than that, bro. It's way better than that. Something crazy. I'll tell you now. It's something crazy. It's like, what are they doing over there? And it's funny because this whole shit, it all comes down back to the Mets in the funniest way, right? So Detroit, my friend, is 33-17. Okay,
Okay,
they have in the
that's
last
last year.
10, 7 out of the last, 7 and 3 in the last 10, which is crazy. All right, and they're four above 500 away, and at home, they've only lost 5 games at home. Okay, they're 12 games above 500 at home, which is crazy to me. All right, like
Yeah,
they're playing really good baseball. And the funny shit about it is that we had that asshole Javi Baez on our team, right? We gave away Pete Crow Armstrong, you know, superhero Pete Crow Armstrong. His name is PCA now. If you're a baseball fan and you don't know who PCA is, then you're not a baseball fan because this kid
he's
is
good.
doing amazing things. Yes, he is. He's really good, and Chicago's been playing really, really well right now too. And they look like they're going places now. They're 30-20. Okay, which is crazy too. They're 5 games above 500 at home, 15-10, and same record away, 15-10. All right. They're in first place. St. Louis, who for some reason after playing the Mets, they have become a force, and now they're 3 games behind them. And like I said, the sad thing is now that the Mets are now in second place at 1.5 because we've been playing atrocious baseball. It's been really bad. I believe it's been 8 out of the last 8 and 11 since like April 26th or something crazy like that. Something really bad, right?
Yeah.
And we can't figure it out. We haven't been hitting the ball at all. I have those numbers. I'm gonna get to them in a second. The Phillies have been consistent. You know, they won 5 in a row, and they won eight. They're 8-2 out of their last 10, which is pretty crazy. They have amazing pitching. You know, they've gone through their struggles too. You know, they just went through. They just lost their closer because their closer was doing,
Jose
PED.
Alvarado,
Yeah, Alvarado.
80 games, and he's
80
not eligible
games
for the
for the
postseason.
postseason either. Exactly. So they really know how to put it. Put it in there, which is good. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to set an example, right? This is not acceptable, not at all. You know what I'm saying? So now,
And also, reason why it hurts them is because their bullpen has always been their weakness. It's just they have a good offense that can carry their weak. Their offense hides their weakness, and so it hasn't hurt them drastically. But it's gonna hurt them if you don't have a closer. Now you gotta find a new closer. Which means by that suspension, they're gonna have to trade for a closer.
yes.
And you know who I think they would trade for, or maybe go
Who's that?
after
Who's
the
that?
guy on the Athletics, their closer,
What's his name?
Mason or something. I forgot his name.
I think I think it is Mason. I think that's
Their
his name. I remember
closer or
that.
something Mason, but
No,
he's
no,
their closer for the
nah. I
Athletics, and
don't think
he's
that's gonna
really
happen
good.
though. I think the rumor is that Robertson, the guy that played for the Phillies in 19 and 22,
He
and
played on the Yankees too. Dave
Yankees and the
Robertson.
Mets. Yeah, yeah, and he played for the
I forgot
Mets
about the
too.
Mets. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So that's the guy. I think that they're looking at. What I'm saying, they're talking, but nothing. Nothing serious yet. But yeah,
nothing in the
so
works.
yeah, nothing in the works. So now we're talking about Otani now, right? Because we have to compare. We just said that we were comparing Schwarber's home runs to Otani's home runs, but we weren't really comparing the. We're just saying that the pace that they're going at is pretty impressive. You know what I'm saying? And how they're able to help their teams. Because this is how you win games. If you have any men on base and you're cracking home runs like that, you're definitely helping your team out. And Otani's crazy because right now he has 17 home runs. He already has 11 stolen bases. He's on 31 RBIs. He's batting 311, so he's definitely hitting a little better than Schwarber. But Schwarber can hit the home run. He has pop in his bat. But
Yeah,
Otani is a monster. He struck out 51 times, but you expect that with a player like that. And that moving forward, he's I think they're helping him develop to get back to pitching as well. He's moving along in that situation. And I just got a report today that I read earlier this afternoon while I was sitting there collecting information for this podcast today, right? And apparently there's another two-way player, right? And this guy's a what? This guy's he's Korean, right? So Otani's Japanese, this guy's Korean. So but this guy's the Rangers picked him up. He's a two-way. He's only 18 years old. But apparently he's really good. And the funny thing about this guy is that he's a shortstop. So I don't know how they would you know, figure that one out. See, because Otani's easy because it's an automatic DH. He works the DH slot every day and he pitches once a week. But with this guy, I guess he would play shortstop every day, all right? And then pitch on the days where he has to. So I think that's a little bit more of a toll on the body and right? What do you think about that? It's kind of crazy. I don't know.
yeah. I don't know. I just when you do it that way, you're risking more injury. You're risking that player getting hurt. And then also just look at Otani. He hasn't pitched since he got hurt, and since he had that surgery. So he's just been a hitter. So I guess that's a plus. But um, I don't know if this guy is going to be the next Otani, where every time he comes out of bat, he put pressure, score runs,
No,
and steal.
I mean, they say. I mean, he's an average player. He's an average shortstop. But even still, though, think about it, right? So you're playing every day, right? So you're at shortstop every day. You have to bat. And then on the days that you're pitching, what you become the DH and bat as well? Nah, that's a little bit too much. You wouldn't do that because you would have a DH already for that situation. But
No,
even
you
still,
just
though,
pitch.
it's too much of a workload. I think you know what I'm saying. I mean, look, we all know that Otani became a better hitter and was able to break all types of records when he left the pitching on the side because not because he wanted to, because he couldn't, right? So
Yeah.
he became, he broke all these records. Look, he's the sole, guy on the 50-50 club, right or wrong. So like,
Yeah, yeah.
all right. So he did his thing. So I don't know. Let's see what happens with this guy. It's gonna be a while before we see him anyway. He's young, they're gonna develop him. But the Texas Rangers have something for the future. They're working on their future, that's for sure. You know? So
Yeah.
I don't know. That it's pretty crazy. So you remember we spoke about how that guy fell over at PNC Park, right? Remember
Oh, the fan. Yeah.
the fan that fell over the railing, right? So
Yeah.
apparently they caught the guy. This guy was underage, right? The guy that fell and hurt himself. Apparently he was
He
walking
was
now.
like
He
a
hurt,
19-year-old or something.
yeah, like 20 or something like that. So anyway, somebody bought him some beer at the game. So this person got
Underage.
arrested. Yep. Yep. And they got arrested,
He got
You can
arrested,
look
or
it
the
up.
guy that bought him the
The
beer.
guy, the guy that bought him the beer got arrested.
Okay.
Yeah. The guy that bought him the beer got arrested. His name is Ethan Kirkwood. 21 years old, man, from Pennsylvania, was arrested. Yeah.
Good.
On the 23rd. The hearing is going to be on the 23rd of June.
So what happens if that guy had died? God forbid he had died. Would he get charged with
Oh,
second degree murder
I don't know. I don't know. I
or
don't know
third
how
degree?
they would
I
have
guess
looked
third
at that.
degree.
I'm not
But
sure.
he's very lucky. But
Yeah.
you could tell he was either drunk because you could tell as soon as you saw a play, you like this guy has to be a drunk. No normal person would just fall out getting that excited. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's pretty
It
crazy. There
looked
was
like he just got
surveillance.
excited. It's like, oh, he thought I don't know what happened, but when I first saw, it, I was like, man, look at this drunk fan. That's the first thing that came to mind, and I guess
Yeah.
I was right. But either way, um, that's very scary because the people that work the stands, the concessions, they don't they only check the person the person that had is the old enough to buy the beer.
Yeah,
They don't
yeah,
know
yeah.
what if I buy a beer, they don't know if I'm gonna give it to a 10-year-old or
No, it's true because they allow
underage.
you for sure. I know for a fact that when you buy a beer at the stadium, if you want to buy two, you can buy two with one ID. So they don't know who the other beer is going to. So there was
Yeah, it
surveillance
could just
camera.
you'd be like, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
bringing it for my friend. It's like
it's pretty
okay,
crazy. Yeah.
well, you know, but you know what? It's not the first time it's happened plenty of times. It just no one fell over the stands and fell onto the ground. That's why it's a big deal now.
Exactly. But the thing was that, there was surveillance cameras and they saw the Kirkwood by two tall boys. And next thing you know, there was video later showing Kirkwood and the guy that fell, Markwood,
Buying him,
together.
giving him the
No, no,
beer.
sipping the beer together. They both had a beer in their hands. So, it's
I don't
crazy.
know, man. There's no way one beer would make. He had to have more than one beer because there's no way one beer you. I don't know. I've had one beer not fall all over the self, fall
Yeah,
all over the
yeah.
place.
Yeah, you're right. It
I don't
depends on the
know.
person. It depends on the person. But that's not the point. The
He's a
point is that
lightweight.
now
Point
this
is,
is
you
pretty
gave him a
crazy.
beer.
Exactly. He wasn't
Yeah,
supposed to do that,
a
Now he's
minor.
responsible for that. Exactly. That's what it's the law, man. Listen,
Yeah,
So
and
watch
now
out.
what? He's gonna go to jail essentially
Who
for this
knows? Let's
guy.
see. We'll see what
You know what also could happen? That guy, if that guy could sue him, he could have to pay his medical expenses.
Oh man, that
He
could
could
get the
seriously
parents
get
might do that.
hurt.
The parents might do that. Who knows? Yeah, it's
Well,
pretty
he's an
crazy.
adult. He can make his own. He can sue after somebody.
Yeah.
You're not old enough to drink, but you're an
Drink.
adult.
It's true. You're right. You're right.
You're right, 18, 19 years old. You can say no to these things. That's what,
Yeah.
that'd be my argument. But who knows? Maybe it was just a friend and that guy probably didn't think my friend's going to jump over the freaking wall and fall on the ground.
No, that's not that
Yeah.
wasn't the plan, man.
So
That
I think
wasn't the plan, man.
their plan was to have fun, drink, have a good time, and go home. But
Yeah.
the you know,
So now let's talk about this crazy shit now, because this is how crazy this is now. So like, the Dodgers are coming into town, right? The Mets might just get
yes,
swept by the Red Sox.
Red Sox.
Arizona might win
They might take
tonight
two out
and
of three
take
from
two
Arizona
exactly. And that'll be two
or
series for
LA.
each team hobbling into City Field, right? And the crazy thing is that the Angels just finished sweeping the Dodgers, which is pretty crazy to me. Angels aren't going anywhere, but that shows you that the Dodger team as a whole is struggling. They have
Yeah,
injuries here and there, and they're not having and it's funny because I always say this for some reason. I don't know why this happens, but Every time a good team goes into town with a player like a team that sucks and isn't any good, the good team always like plays down to the worst team, and then the game ends up being it's never really lopsided, you know. And I'll give you a perfect example, right? So the Angels won the first game 6-2. Okay, that's surprising. You would never think that, right? So if you were on FanDuel and you were like, "Oh, tonight I'm gonna bet on the Dodgers because they're playing the Angels. I don't give a fuck," right? And then you lose that, you're like, "Wow, that was you know,
I
you
was
weren't
shocked because the
yeah,
Angels, you know,
exactly, right? But then the next day, right, the Angels win 11-9. All right, so we're talking
it's a
about
close game.
20 runs in a game, right? And you don't expect that shit to happen. So
No,
you're like, what's going on here, right? So not only did the Angels win the series after game two, they win the next game 6-4. All right. So now you're like, wait a minute, what's going on with the Dodgers, right? That's the first thing that's gonna pop into your mind, right? It's like there's something wrong there. And then, all right, Arizona's been playing well. That's a division. That's the best division in the whole league. So you got the Dodgers, you got the Padres, you got San Francisco, and yes, you have the Arizona Diamondbacks as well. And you know what? Maybe that'll be the wild cards right there, and San Diego can maybe even take the Dodgers out of the division lead with having problems like this. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't know what's going on now. We'll see what happens tonight. Like I said, tonight, after this is over, I'm definitely going to tune in and I'm going to watch that. But we're going to see what happens. The Dodgers are not looking too good either. You know, we all go through the flows, right? We all go through the flows. All right. Now it's looking like the Mets want to win this game. We got men on second and third with one out.
I think
And
Acuna was safe. They're challenging the play.
yeah, they're challenging the play at first, right? So it could be a bases loaded situation. That's what you're telling me right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. Let's see.
Yeah,
Let's
he's
see what
safe.
happens.
He's safe.
We're gonna check that. I haven't seen the replay yet. I think you're a little ahead of me. Let's check this out. I'm looking at
Let's
it now.
see.
He's safe out now. He's safe.
Yeah, he's
He's
safe.
safe. So bases loaded, no outs. This is when we win the
Bases
game. We
loaded.
have
Who's
to.
that bad? Lindor?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure because they juggled up the lineup today. The lineup is a little different today. I can tell
Yeah,
you right
he's
now, the
safe.
lineup was Beatty's up to bat now.
Oh, Jesus. He sucks ass.
No, no, no. He's you know what, man? I don't know what to do with this team anymore. But this is the funny thing about this team, right? All right, so now
Maybe he'll come up big. Safe. Yep, bases loaded. No outs.
bases
Oh, one
bases
out.
load. One out. Perfect. All right. So this is the thing about the Mets. All right. So now we're not hitting. We're not hitting. All right. So apparently today we had to juggle up the lineup and make it a little different. So this way we can try to figure out what's wrong with our team. Now, you have to understand that we lost three straight and five out of the last six. All right. That was the first time this season we were the last team to lose three in a row. Okay.
Yeah.
So we were holding down to holding something down, a little streak, but we couldn't do it. Right
Yeah.
in the last six games, we were batting 180, just scoring 8 runs, 8 runs in the last
In
seven
six
games.
games.
In last 6 games, in the last 7 games, a buck 54. In the last 15 games, a buck 86. In the last 30 games, 265. Not this
Wow.
team. This team is nah. This is what has the same thing that happened to your team is happening to mine. If it wasn't for the pitching, you know what I'm saying? The pitching keeps us in these games. They keep us in the games. And I can prove that to you. I can prove that the pitching is keeping us in the games because in the series with the Red Sox, bro, Senga
Yeah.
and Holmes, they only gave
They
up 5 runs combined, bro. All right.
yeah,
And
they had a good outing.
they both went 6 innings. Okay. So that's crazy. All
It's
right.
just they couldn't score runs.
They just couldn't score runs, bro. You know, it doesn't make any sense. And with the Yankees, right? They outscored us 16-7, bro. That's not acceptable with the roster we have. We played super
Yeah.
nervous. We didn't play well. And Alonso, he definitely threw that game away. Because we could have won that in the rubber match. We could have won that. It was a tie game in the late innings. We had a
Yeah.
chance. We needed that series. It's crazy. But look what happens, you know? And then I'm looking at, everybody's talking about Soto. And this is what we have to talk about now, because I know you want to talk about this too, because I know you see things a certain way. And I want to know what you think, because I
Yeah.
like classy
I'll like
players,
you
bro.
go first because it's your team. So you.
Yeah. But,
I think we think
yeah,
along the same lines, similarly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We know I don't like a flashy player, you know what I'm saying? And you know what I noticed about Soto? Okay, you know how on previous clubs before getting this big ass contract, he was a really flashy player, right? And he played villain, right?
Yeah.
And last year, right? This is just me talking out loud, right? This is serious. Like, we all play roles on a team, right? And when you
Mm-hmm.
look at the Phillies, a team like the Phillies, right, and you look at a team like the Red Sox, right, back in the day, especially when they had David Ortiz and they had Manny Ramirez, right, they were a real scrappy, like dirty team. The Phillies were always a
Mm-hmm.
dirty team. Like, oh, here come the Phillies. Oh, here comes like the Detroit Pistons of back in the day. Like when they used to play the Bulls and they were like the dirtiest team. But that's the type of team that you would look at. You would see that, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
Soto has played for teams like that. The Yankees are a villain in baseball. You know what I'm saying? They're the villains in baseball, bro. They come into your town. They like the villains. And he played a very good villain playing for the Yankees. All right. And then he went to like family friendly Mets, because we're a working class team. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And we're like a family friendly ball club and everybody's smiling, having a good time. And it's hard for him to transition into that role. You know what I'm saying? But he can
Yeah.
still be his villain. You know that little move that he does every time they
The
miss with
shimmy,
balls?
the
The
show, the
shimmy,
shuffle.
exactly. The shuffle.
Slides his
Thank
foot
you.
to right, stares the pitcher
Exactly.
down,
Yeah, he doesn't do that anymore with
wiggles
the
his
Mets.
bat.
He doesn't do that for the Mets anymore, bro.
I think it's just because he's not performing. If he was,
You think
he
so?
usually does that
Nah.
when yes, because when he's breaking, he does that. I'm telling you, he'll be back. Don't worry. If he goes on like 18 game hitting streak, he'll be doing the shuffle and all that.
Oh,
It's
maybe.
all
I
about
hope
just
so.
not. I think it's
All right.
offensively.
All right, so let's
It's
talk
an
about his
offensive
numbers.
issue.
Right, this bum right now because I don't want to call him a bum. All
Mm,
right, but I don't like his. He's a little arrogant right now. He's a little
bum is a
shaky.
strong word for
Yeah,
750 million.
so, yeah, but this is what happens. People get paid, and then what they do, they walk right out the door.
They're like, we
They
got
show
our
up to
money.
work.
Goodbye.
Exactly. This is what happens, man. We've seen it happen so many
It's like
times.
armed robbery. Yes.
All right. So until he can prove this to us, I don't want to call him a bum. I'm gonna take that back. I'm gonna take that back. All right,
Yeah.
because I have to take that back. But you're right, because I have to think about a lot of things. All right, I have to think about the fact that this guy, he's young. He's 26 years old. He's going through a lot. He's thinking about too much. He's not thinking about the simple things, simple baseball mechanics and just hitting the ball. That's what he needs to focus on. He needs to go into a bubble and just do his thing and relax because he's thinking about too much. He doesn't have to carry this team. You know what I'm saying? Right now, nobody's carrying this team. Nobody's hitting. So nobody's earning their money. But all right, when they say I've been watching this series with the Boston Red Sox, right? And I've been watching the dynamics of the field, right? The dynamics of the field are so horrible, right? So this left fucking field wall, the green monster, it's so hard because if you hit it really hard, it'll be a home run in any other ballpark. But in this ballpark, it hits the wall, it drops, and it's almost impossible to get a double. All right, so people were talking shit about Soto and they were saying, oh, he was standing there. He looked at the ball, hit the wall, and he didn't run. He didn't
He
get
didn't
that
hustle
double.
out the
He didn't
box.
hustle out the box, right? And everybody's like, "Oh, Mendoza has to talk to him. What the hell?" Now, okay, listen, I understand that. Even if he would have ran out the gates, he would have never gotten that double. All right, it's
No, he's
very,
slow. He's
very
not.
hard. He's very big. He's a big guy. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't gonna get that double. It's very, very hard to get a double off the wall on the left side. That monster's it's a fucking crazy animal. Alonso in the first game hit a shot, man. He missed it by a couple of inches. A lot of guys hit nice shots off that wall. Torrens hit a shot off that wall today. That would have been a home run in any other ballpark. You know what I'm
In any
saying?
field.
Anywhere, anywhere, bro, anywhere.
Yeah.
So like this series has been interesting. Yo, listen, imagine having to play a World Series in this ballpark. It's a definite home field advantage, bro. It's a definite home field advantage. It's crazy. So I don't blame him for that, but he definitely needs to hustle. He needs to humble himself a little. He needs to relax and chill, right? And everybody says the same thing. People are saying, "Oh, I read some shit where Piazza was like, yeah, don't worry about the same thing happened to me. Lindor took Lindor a while too. He has
Warm
to
up.
act, to warm up and get acclimated with the team, and he doesn't have to carry the team. He just has to play his position. Do his thing. He's a
Be
plus for
productive.
us. Be productive. That's it. Hit the ball hard. Concentrate, relax. But He's definitely not doing that. He's not doing that. You know, we struggle. The team went 0 for 7 and with runners in scoring position. You know, this is crazy. Yesterday was crazy too because you have to understand that when Walker Bueller got kicked out of the game in the third inning, I said to myself, Jesus, they gave us a game. We'll take it. We need this break. And that bullpen came out of nowhere and shut us down, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy to me. I don't understand what's happening with this team. How is a bullpen start? Pretty much because Bueller left in the third inning after he got pissed off because
It was a
after that
bullpen
play,
game. Yeah.
yeah, after that bullshit that I told you about, the shit with the Soto where he hit the ball and it hit the wall, he ended up stealing second, right? So the catcher gets up, but the ball landed in the strike zone. The calls a ball on that play. Bueller gets upset, starts mouthing off at the umpire, says "fuck you"
Correa
and all this.
gets.
And Cora
Yeah.
gets tossed out the game too, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. A bullpen start for the Mets. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Even my dad was here. He's here on vacation, and we look at each other. We're like, yes, that's an easy W for the Mets. No, it
No, they blew
wasn't.
it.
We blew it, but it's okay. But you know
Yeah.
what? I heard some good news today, though. This is the good news. The good news is that Ronnie Mauricio is on
He's
fire.
coming up.
He's
Oh, that's
coming up.
good.
Okay, listen to me. My dad talks about this guy every day. He can't wait because this guy played last year, briefly for us, and he was amazing. It wasn't last year, the year before that because he didn't play
He
last year.
tore his
Yeah,
ACL.
he told you exactly. So 2 years
Was
before
limited in
that,
the
yeah,
league.
he
Yeah.
came up here. He was on fire. He just couldn't stop hitting.
And he was
So
stealing.
he was stealing and everything. So now, guess what, bro? In 2 straight games, bro, 2 home runs. In the last 3 games, 7 for 11, 2 walks, 2 stolen bases, and 4 RBIs. Let's go, Mets. They have to bring him up to spark up the lineup, B. Because if he's hitting like that, that could be infectious. You know what I'm saying? You know when you do shit like that, you bring a player up from the minors, he's hitting, he comes up, infectious. Now the whole team starts hitting again. I don't know.
Yeah.
Stupid things like that might work. I don't know. Let's see what happens, man. That's pretty bad. It's pretty bad, bro. We're batting 183 with runners in scoring position, bro. That's the fourth worst in the league, bro. All right. This is since
Yeah.
April
The offense has
30th,
cooled
bro.
down.
Yeah, bro. And Soto's, he's not hitting, all right. But that's been happening for a while now. The whole team isn't hitting. So now I don't know how he feels. He probably feels even worse now. He's like, damn, bro, I'm getting paid all this money and I should be hitting, you know what I'm saying? But he's been acting funny lately. Even with he was supposed to be mic'd up for that ESPN game, you know what I'm saying? At what, Yankee Stadium, right? And guess what? He
Yeah, the
decided
last
that he
game.
didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. He yanked out right before the game. So he's
Which
been
is
acting really
fine.
funny.
It's not.
Which is fine, but it shows that he was nervous about something and something bothers him. I mean, he played like it. He played like it. He didn't play well at all, man.
Well, the
Listen,
Mets just scored another run, so it's now 4-1.
all right.
Bottom of the
Off of a
top seven.
Soto sack
Pop
fly.
fly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Soto sack fly. All right, look at him. Oh, all right.
So
Three to
hopefully
one,
he got
four
an
to one, four
RBI.
to one, 4-1.
Yeah, 4-1.
Okay, there we go. We're doing something right. But listen, in the last 7 games, man, Soto 17 at bats, right? 2 runs, 3 hits, 5 walks, 4 strikeouts. All right, that's 1 for 10 in the Yankee series. All right, and then now in this series he's talking. He's like, oh, you know that the Red Sox were on the top of the list as well for one of the teams that could have gotten my services. They offered him 700 million for 15 years, and you know what? You know what's crazy? Me as I'm a baseball man, right? So listen, I'm looking at all these teams, right? Obviously, the Dodgers were probably in it. Who knows how much they offered the kid? I don't really know. I wasn't even because it was between the Yankees and the Mets, right? So
The two
if
highest bidders that we know of.
Yeah, exactly. The two highest bidders that we know of. Now he's saying that the Red Sox were up there as well, right? And we're looking at all three teams, right? So the Yankees are right. He made the World Series with the Yankees. The pitching was a little suspect, right? But when you look at the Red Sox, you say, wait a minute, look at that pitching. Look who they surrounded themselves with. They went after Soto because we already know if they would have went after Soto, they would have gotten him. They would have never went after Alex Bergman. They would have never went after him. Maybe you never know. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
think about it. They wouldn't probably not because they would have spent all that money. Would have said, okay, we can
and they
just stop
probably wouldn't
here.
have got Crochet
Develop all that
or
pitching. Exactly. You're
Bueller.
right about that. That's true. That's true. They would have probably not gotten either, one of those two either. So it would have been a completely different type of team, right? So now you look at the Mets and you say, okay, the Mets, he knows about the pitching lab. I guess they probably introduced it to him. They were like, this is what we have going. Look what we did last year. Look at the players that we have. We have Lindor. We have these guys. Look at this young development that we have going on here. We're willing to spend money if we have to. We'll give you all this. And he said, all right, we're going to go with that. A lot of people are saying that his family was the one that his family was like pushed them to go towards the Mets. Was it for the money or because the Mets offered the best package? Who knows? We don't really know this. Because if me as a player, I probably would have went with the Red Sox. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Because he
And
would
yeah,
and he would have been a villain, a great villain there. He would have been able to fit right into that lineup. You know what I'm saying? Because
oh,
that was
against
his,
the Yankees.
yeah, against the Yankees perfectly. You know what I'm saying? And you know what's funny? Because that team is, Devers is a villain, bro. Look how he's producing right now, which is crazy to me. After all this drama, he's still producing like an animal, which is crazy to me. I don't even understand how he's pulling this off, bro. It's fucking
Yeah,
crazy. He's crazy. His numbers are insane.
he's a great player offensively.
Yeah, listen,
You
he's
know,
batting. Listen, since April 26th, 8 home runs, 25 RBIs, bro. Tied for fifth most home runs and most RBIs over that span. All right. That's crazy. How's that happening? But yeah, man, like McGill today, man, I was hoping he still has it in him, man. I feel bad for him. I feel like, we're not helping him. We're not producing, but the pitching staff has been struggling because they can't win games like that. They go out there, they throw their best, and we're just not connecting with the bats. But it's gonna be okay. I think it's gonna be okay. So tell me what you think about your manager getting fired because we talked about this last week. We talked about how the Pirates did it,
the
Colorado did
Rockies
it,
did
and
it.
I told you I was like the Orioles might be next. Even though we both agreed that the manager movement isn't the route, because we all know that the manager doesn't play, and the manager now these days doesn't have a lot of control over the team. So this is why Buck Showalter isn't there anymore. This is why old school managers,
Don't
can't manage.
exist.
It don't exist exactly. Exactly. Thank you. That's exactly the word I was looking for. So tell me, what do you think about all that? Because I want you to get deep on that. Because we're talking about what happens to a team, when you fire a manager.
it just tells the team that you're waving the white flag, in my opinion. Because if you're the players, like I watch a lot of games, you could tell they're just not trying hard, and they're just like, yeah, they're just going with emotions. And it's hard because this guy just won Manager of the Year 2 years ago, so he's not a bad manager. You know what I mean? It just that someone has to be the sacrificial lamb. This is not what they're expected. But the person I solely blame is the GM because they knew going into season three out of their starters, four out of their starters. One is went to free agency. The other three are still hurt. You knew those guys weren't going to be coming back or not coming back at the beginning of the season. They did nothing to get it. They did nothing really to prove. Yeah, they got a bunch of old guys. It was Morton and Sugano, and the guy from Japan has been the best player so far, pitcher. But Grayson Rodriguez is hurt. Kyle Bash is hurt. Tyler Wells is hurt. Those are guys that were in the rotation. If you look at the rotation, Dean Kramer's the only guy that's still pitching from last year's rotation.
It's
So
presented
all
by Defy.
so all those guys are gone.
Wait till we attach Spilly to that. 2-1's the score, and Kyle Farmer takes strike
Yeah,
one
it's
from
crazy.
Taiwan.
So yeah. So it just messed it just So, but the thing I don't like about the owners, the GM, he waited like a couple days to make a statement, and he finally said something today. He like acknowledging that he took full responsibility, but he's like we're making moves. My problem is I call him the prospect hugger. You can't hold on to all these guys. That's the purpose of prospects. So you can use that as leverage to get guys that you need.
Better. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole purpose. And if you were, because the goal is your window is now, man. You have the stars. You have a good chance. You want to win it before you have to give all these guys contracts. And if you gotta give a prospects to get it, who cares? If you get a World Series out of it, then you'll do it. Look at the Cubs. They did that several years ago. They won the World Series. They were bad for a couple years. They loaded up on prospects, and look where they are now. They're back to being good.
Back to being great.
The Yankees did that a couple years ago too. They sold off their stars, got some prospects out of it, and now they're good again. But it's what it is. The Mets did that. Now granted they traded away veterans to get prospects, but it worked.
Yeah.
But you got.
They had no choice.
Yeah, because prospects are unknown. We have no clue. And I'll be honest with you, Holiday's all right, but he hasn't been lights out like they predicted him to be. Reichman's been okay. Their best player is Mullins right now, and Henderson is slow start. Now, granted,
yeah,
we still got a long way to go, but 13 games is really hard to climb out of. Now 12, but they're just off for me. I said this going into the season. I said I predict them to finish third place in the division, and I remember telling you their pitching is their weakness. I knew that. Everybody and their mother knew that. But the thing that disappointed me about the Orioles so far is their offense. They're not producing runs. They're not scoring. They don't hit runners in scoring positions. The only time they win is when they hit home runs. Today they did well. They scored 8 runs, but it's been like weeks since they scored more than 8 runs. It's like April or something when they scored more than 8 runs. So they're just not producing, and then that puts a lot of stress on the pitching because they got to kind of pitch like a perfect game essentially, and they can't do that. They're not strong enough. And so, but Brandon Hyde, it's hard to see. You can't assess how good a manager is because everything is done analytically. He goes off of what the computer tells him to do. Some guy from Harvard University is telling him, numbers say that this guy should not be pitching because I can see the rotation the 4th time. His hair light's on fire and he can't pitch no more. It's just stupid. Go by the feeling. If the guy's pitching well, or if you got a guy who's got an 18-game hitting streak, keep pitching. Who cares about rest? Rest him when he falls apart, on the 19th day, if that's the case. Don't just, don't just keep, just go, I got to change it because that's what the numbers say. Screw the numbers, Numbers don't always tell you the number. Numbers do lie too, I know that saying is numbers don't lie, but sometimes they do,
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy because
baseball is one of the things that's more about feelings than anything else. It's like football is where numbers matter more, And baseball, it's all about the moment. It's all about the feeling. How's the guy doing? What's the situation? Yeah, it might be the 3rd time, but if the guy's throwing a no hitter going into, all right, so 3rd time around the lineup, that's like the 4th inning, maybe at best. So you can take the guy out because
it depends. Yeah,
it could be stupid. If the guy's throwing a no hitter or he's got a 1-run game, he's winning 1-0, and he's only giving up 1 hit. Just keep the guy going. Take advantage of it. Rest your bullpen, especially if your team is bullpen is shot.
Yeah, me as a manager, I'm old school too. I like to see let it keep happening. It's magic. It's happening right now. Don't fuck with it. But due to the numbers, we have to. We have no choice.
The wheels, that saying, bro. I'm gonna drive the car until the wheels fall off.
No, you can't do that. You can't do that. No, not the same thing.
Not till the wheels fall off, but
you can't wait till the wheels fall off.
Mistake.
Yeah, okay, yeah. You gotta catch it. You gotta catch it. You gotta see it developing. Like you're like, all right, it took him 8 pitches to get out of that last at bat, and then he walked the other guy after that, and then he gave up a hit right there. That's when you're like, okay, it's not working out anymore. You got to get rid of him right there. You don't wait till, you got to get rid of him right there. And I think that was still too much. You have to kind of see it happening, But the shit is crazy. So now we're coming to the part of the show where we talk about the hitter of the week. And this guy, I hate this guy, but he's the hitter of the week. So we have to talk about him. And this guy, I don't have a problem saying I hate him. Hit of the week happened on May 13th versus Boston.
And former Met.
That's right. Former Met, former Chicago Cub, Javi Baez went 2 for 4, 2 home runs, walk, 6 RBIs, 3 runs, right? Of course. And we had the gunslinger of the week. Eovaldi. Wasn't he a ex-Boston Red
Nathan
Sox?
Eovaldi, Red Sox and a Yankee.
Right, there you go. Gunslinger,
Nathan
baby.
Eovaldi.
Against Detroit, which is funny, on the 11th of May. 6-1. 6-1 Texas won, excuse me. He went 7, 2 hits, none earned, 7 strikeouts. Yeah, that was magical. All right.
Yeah, he had a good outing.
All right, so now we're talking about what Judge is going to do. Judge is doing crazy shit right now, right? So Judge is batting .403. All right, that's insane. Okay, so I'm seeing these numbers and I'm like, damn, I wonder who hit the highest for a batting title in the history of baseball. So that's what the trivia question is going to be. Yeah, but you have to understand. Let me explain to you what Judge is doing. Right?
So Judge is batting. Guy in mind.
No, you don't. Not yet. Let me tell you what Judge is doing, and so this way you can tell me what the number you think it is. I want you to give me 2 answers, actually. So the 2 numbers are highest career average, right? And then the highest single season average. Those are the 2 numbers I'm looking for. And the bonus is going to be the name, because I know it's going to be hard for you to name this person, but you might be able to pull it off. I don't know. Because you're crazy like that. But I want to see if you're able to pull that off. I want the career average and I want the single season average, right? And now, Judge, 403, 16 home runs, right? 43 RBIs, right? And 73 hits. You know what that means, yo? 73 hits, 13 doubles, 2 triples, 30 base on balls, 48 strikeouts. All right. Projected to hit how many home runs? 55 home runs. Okay? 55 home runs. So now, like I said, give me the highest batting average in MLB history. All right. For the highest batting career average and the highest MLB for the season.
The highest of all time?
Yes. Career batting average.
Oh, see, that's where you got me, because I was thinking season. For the season, I was going to go with
I have both.
Cabrera, but...
Okay, no, it's not him. It's not him.
He 1 year here, he was leading it.
Yeah, but the guy that I'm talking about, no, he batted .466 in 1943. I know exactly for the season. Okay, single season batting average, .466 in 1943. His name was Josh Gibson. He played for the Homestead Grays, and that's right. And his career, right, the highest career, and he has the record for the career batting average as well, and it's at .372.
Wow.
All right, yeah, which is pretty crazy, right? All right, so this is the type of shit that we're looking at. Judge, Judge has to bring it up a little more. 403 is crazy, but he has to beat .466 for the single season. So we came to the end of the show. We've been talking about a lot of good things. We've been seeing it happen, and we're predicting it too. We predicted that the Baltimore Orioles manager was going to get fired. We predicted that Pete Rose
would get to the Hall of Fame, or they lift
the ban and be eligible for the Hall of Fame, which is going to happen. Obviously, you wouldn't do that unless you're going to do that. It's great. Like I said, it's great.
Next year.
They're going to do it. It's going to happen. But we've been having a great season. We've been talking about these teams and the development, and we haven't been even gone halfway. So it's going to be crazy to see the development of what's happening in the league. I think things are going to change. I think things are changing. I see teams that are, that were nowhere last year, all of a sudden, start to become, contenders. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of different sellers this year. Oh my God, if Baltimore's a seller, who knows what's going to happen with that? That's going to be crazy.
if
You know,
Baltimore sells, they're gonna sell players that are due for contracts, and the Mullins, um, and
yeah,
they're not
yeah.
gonna sell their three core
I hope
guys.
not. I
But
hope not,
anybody
because if
else,
they, I hope not, because
O'Hearn's
that's
a
not
free,
smart.
O'Hearn, Mountcastle, Urias, Ramon Urias, Tyler O'Neill. He's hurt, but he's the outfielder. Who else? Mullins. So whoever is not their major star, future prospect, future star, they're all on the trading block. Pitching wise, Felix Bautista could be traded. He's their closer. He's been struggling. I find it interesting how every time a star closer comes back from an ACL injury, they're just completely terrible the next year. It's so weird. Or the year after they.
Oh my God.
Batista's been terrible. He blew another
Yo,
save today. Now they won, but still,
oh my God. So I just
it's
want to say
it's interesting.
that the Phillies are in the third inning, top of the third, right? Phillies, Bryce Harper just hit a home run. It's 4-2 now in the top of the third. All right. They're not playing anymore. And yeah, we might win this game. We won this baseball game. You know, we didn't get swept. And that's cute and all. But now we're hobbling back to Citi Field and we lost 2 series. Hopefully, you know, when I tune into this Dodger game later at 10 o'clock, 10 to be exact on Eastern time, I'm going to enjoy that. I'm going to watch the rest of this Phillies game too and see what happens. It's going to be a good night. I'm off tomorrow, so get to watch some more baseball. Not the Mets. The Mets can't lose or win tomorrow because we're off. And we need that break. We need that break. We're traveling back
Baltimore's
home.
got Boston
Baltimore has Boston. That's going to be
in
rough.
Boston.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
man.
who knows? Maybe today's win was the start of the offensive producing.
Yeah, you
You
never
know,
know.
they
Yeah, no,
scored
you
8
never know.
runs, and they now granted it was extra innings, so you get an advantage because you got the Manfred man. But you know, sometimes you just need a win to slump you out of that funk that they were in. You know, and they finally got it. So they play Boston tomorrow. They got 4 game series, so if they could split the series with Boston, I'd be happy. You know,
Yeah, I feel you on that. Listen,
and the
it's all about
Mets are
winning
home to the
series.
Dodgers. The Mets have to take 2 out of 3 from LA if you want to, make yourself like a true contender. Be like, yeah, we're really here. Yeah, we're
No, not
still in the
right now.
run,
They
but
they're both for struggling.
they're
So it's
both
gonna be an
slumping.
interesting. Yeah, let's see what happens in the series. It's gonna be, you know, they're both tired, bro. They both went 12 rounds. That's what it feels like to them. It's like and they have to fight now. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be like 2 boxes in the 12th round, all
Are you
sluggish
going
and
to the
shit.
games about any chance?
I'm gonna watch a couple of them. I think I'm gonna be there for a couple of them, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not 100% sure. I have to take the old man to a couple of games before he goes back to Puerto Rico. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely. I think I'm gonna be there for a couple of them. I don't know which ones yet. We're trying to figure that out. Trying to work it around the schedule, but I'll be there and let's see what happens, man. But that was a great episode. We're gonna catch you guys on the rebound next week after the Dodgers series, and I believe after the Dodgers, I think it's the White Sox, I believe,
Oh,
and
yeah,
yeah, for the
that makes
Mets, for
sense
the
because the
Mets.
White Sox come to Baltimore after the Mets.
Yeah, I think they play the White Sox. So
And you should sweep them. They're
that should be, you
terrible.
know, nah, but you know, like who knows what'll happen with that. You know, I just want to be, you know, look, we won this one, we didn't get swept, you know. We got it's 4-1 in the bottom of the eighth, man. I think we got this in the bag, you know. And I probably called it too early. Who knows, you know? But hopefully we get this one. 4-1 in the bottom of the eighth, man, with no outs, you know. So there's 6 outs to go. I think we can handle this. I think we can handle this. But we'll catch you on the rebound. And hope you enjoyed it.
See you
Peace, bro.
guys.
Peace, brother.